Hi, we're the Huge Movie Fanatics, and this time we're going back in time a little bit.
The very first day we did reviews, we kind of reviewed Scream 4. We kind of reviewed all of them. It was weird. It turned into a weird review. So now we're gonna.
As time has passed, we're gonna do a review of all 4 Scream movies separately, and we're gonna start with Scream, Wes Craven's 1996 masterpiece. This is one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's number 4 on my list. If you're keeping a tally, I think I've revealed 2 of them now of my 5.
Well, you revealed your 1 and your something.
1 and 4, I think. So we'll do a top 5 day for both of us.
All right.
So Scream, easy 4 stars, hands down, without question. The opening scene of this movie, 20 years later, pretty much still holds up like none other. It is just as jarring and terrifying as it was the day that it came out.
And still is fresh.
Yeah, it's still fresh. Like, I mean, the only thing that really dates it is the tube TV.
Yeah.
And the phone is kind of big. But outside of that, that movie holds up. Oh, I suppose they're using videotapes to put in the VCR.
And there's a video store scene.
Yeah, the whole movie is just like exceptional. It's a great movie. The performances, like, who knew Neve Campbell would just make such an impact on this whole genre? And then you have Courtney Cox and David Arquette, and the actor who plays Billy Loomis, Skeet Ulrich, gives a phenomenal performance, as does Drew Barrymore, which they billed her. Gave her like close to top billing for the entire movie, which was a genius marketing tool, because everybody's like, let's see that Drew Barrymore movie. And they were not prepared for what came next. And Matthew Lillard, like, I can't stress enough how amazing every person in this cast is. There's no weak link.
I have to say really quick, you hit me with the phone, dick!
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Which was
he
like
so good. It was an ad-lib.
ad-lib.
Because he got hit in the head with a phone. So he responded as a normal person would. So yeah, I really love that movie. The first 10 minutes and the last 20 minutes might be the most perfect. Like, if you just slap those things together, you have the most perfect piece of cinema ever. And everything that bridges between them sets up dominoes that are tipped at the end, and it's just so excellent. And the whodunit aspect, watching this with people who've never seen it, which I did 2 years ago, I was like, we're going to watch a whodunit, and so they were like, well, who's it going to be? Well, it can't be him, so it's got to be this person. No, he just died, so it's going to be, and so they went through and they tried to figure it out, and then once the ultimate reveal is made, they were just like, that's not even fair. And my friend Brian, he was really upset about it because he got outsmarted by the filmmakers, and that's not what's supposed to happen. Yeah, the movie is just genius. The dialogue is so fresh for the time, and it holds up really well. As I said, the performances are great. The camera angles, the use of the ghost mask is great.
I think that's the first movie that really kind of began that Beltrami, or at least that I can remember. It began a fad, which then continued for a while with all 3 Screams, Faculty. Where else was it? Oh, H2O. Yeah. So that Beltrami, where it seemed like in a lot of ways the music was just recycled, but I ended up kind of liking it. It's like the Beltrami. It was like the Beltrami era, you know.
Yeah, the late 90s.
For that pop horror stuff, and it was just kind of cool.
And like, it's such an excellent love letter to the genre, while also being critical of the genre. Like, the genre has its problems. This movie exposed them, but it also used them and utilized them. I reviewed a movie this morning called Cabin in the Woods, which does just that. Like, it's the modern Scream, and it might be the best genre movie since Scream because of it. Like, anytime you get a movie that is critical of what came before, but also it loves and admires it, you have to respect. Like, it, and this movie does that just so wonderfully. Like, it's not being mean to what came before, it's jabbing at it in a loving way. and that's why Scream works so well. It's such a love letter to genre horror fans, and watching this back to back with Halloween, the first Halloween, is just great because they mirror each other in strange ways. Like, because they're eventually watching the movie at the end of the movie, and the score is even used.
Yeah, that's great.
They drop out the film score and use Halloween's score because that's what's on TV. So it becomes
when cops
when Dewey is going in,
it's like,
yeah, and he gets freaked out at the movie that's on TV. Like, imagine entering a house where the Halloween theme is playing just naturally, and there are dead bodies around.
Isn't
like
that
that's how brilliant was that? Like Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson just came up with the perfect movie. It was just so right, and there's so much right. There's almost no wrong. My only two criticisms for the movie are if you're gonna have it be like realistically kids killing kids, and you know who's in the ghost mask. I found it a little hard to believe when Ghostface was spying on her at the grocery store. Like, how come the grocery store attendant didn't notice the Ghostface in the building?
Right.
And again later, like outside of her house. I think that's beforehand outside of her house. He's in the woods and then goes away. So yeah, interesting note. If you watch the movie, you can figure out who killed who.
You've said that, and all I see when I watch all of them is just Ghostface, you know, and I don't think I've tried to figure out, but I don't think
it's.
I'm gonna think you can.
I'm gonna go ahead and spoil the movie right now, so stop it here if you haven't seen it. The killers are Billy and Stu. They each tell each other to kill each other's girlfriend. That's why Billy kills Tatum. Billy also kills Casey. Stu tries to kill Sydney, both in the house and in her house. Okay. And then Kenny the cameraman was clearly done by Stu because Billy was in the house upstairs. Stu killed Billy. So like if you go through it, you can figure out who
gotcha.
And you can tell by who's using when Ghostface talks, like when Ghostface is talking to Stu, it's all about the rules. It's all about the game aspect. Okay. When Ghostface is talking just more mean and fucked up, that's because it's Billy and he's lost it. He's a man on the edge.
And then we can't even forget to mention just the voice.
The voice, Roger Jackson.
Holy shit.
So anyway, 4 stars. I've talked so much, let's pass the baton.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I saw it and I just bought it back in the day. I didn't catch it. I wasn't lucky enough to catch it in the theater, so I just bought it. I think after 2, whatever, and I'm just like, you know, it's one of those instances/situations where I wished I'd seen it in the theater with an audience, kind of a thing, you know. But you know, I instantly loved it, and I mean, the thing about a beginning of a movie is really important. I don't think a lot of filmmakers even know that. Mm-hmm. It sure seems like they don't, because the beginnings in a lot of cases are just. And this is a perfect example of a filmmaker and a film writer taking advantage of a beginning of a movie and making it, you know, something important, you know. Mm-hmm. And you can say that in a lot of ways. It may mirror, like, you know, Friday the 13th in that pre-credit, you know, beginning, a little bit of the beginning, the shred of the story, or Halloween,
or When a Stranger Calls,
or whatever. You know, by setting up a piece of the puzzle at the very beginning. To me, the movie, the strengths are just, if more than, I mean, to me, the strengths are huge in the characters and the performers. For me, you know, I watched the first one and I'm like, oh God, I just love Tatum. You know, is that her name?
Yeah, Tatum.
I just love Tatum. You know, and it's just so sad when you watch the sequels and it's like, oh, where's Tatum?
Yeah,
you know,
and the fact
in
that
a lot of ways,
call back to her in all of them, that's awesome.
I know. Even the fourth, didn't they? In the fourth,
yeah, in the deleted scenes for sure. I think they mentioned her though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and every time you hear it, it's just like, oh man. And I loved Rose McGowan. Back in that day, and I don't know if she got breast reduction. Do we know if she got breast reduction? She just lost weight.
I think she lost weight, but she also like.
I just searched her a couple nights ago, and she got plastic surgery.
Yeah,
she's a little what the fuck?
I don't know.
Rose,
she was so gorgeous too.
And to me that was like, Yeah, I'm glad they got her on celluloid, man, and that physical, and I love that thing, them red pants and that top she wore. It was just like, I loved her in that movie, and luckily she lives for quite a while.
Yeah,
and she's such a great friend for. That's what for me. That's what is missing so much in the other ones, is that she was such a great, like Sydney's. What's the superhero in there?
Sidekick.
Yeah, it was like Sydney's sidekick.
She was great, and you get that a little bit in Scream too. But Sydney then isolates herself, so you can't get that in the other ones, which is really missing.
And this is the first movie that introduced me, as well as probably everyone else, to Matthew Lillard, which is just like, leave her alone.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, there's so many aspects about the first one that you cannot even, like Tatum, Billy, and which one's Billy? Billy is the boyfriend. So Stu and Billy, I mean, Tatum and Stu is just like, wow. And Billy's kind of cool too, and he's evil in a way that...
He's dark, but you trust him in a weird way.
To me, I mean, none of the sequels even come close to the characters that were accomplished in the first one. The first one is about, the characters are just so dead on and perfect, and everything's great.
Yeah, and the movie is played for real. Like, you have a movie that's satirizing the genre, but unlike any movie I've ever seen before or since, when you're satirizing the genre, you want to sort of make things a little goofy, a little jokey, especially when you have jokey humor. When people get killed, you are like, holy crap, like, they don't pull the punch. When, right from the first moment that Steve gets gutted, you're just, like, in just abject horror throughout the rest of the movie. Same thing with Casey. You're stuck with Casey for 9 minutes in the movie, and you care so much when she dies.
Who's Casey?
Drew Barrymore.
Okay.
You care so much for her when she dies that, like, it's just. We talked about the Martin Scorsese thing. Like, Wes did it. I don't know how, but he got you to care for that character so much for her in those 9 minutes. And then you mentioned Tatum, and like, I even cared for the killers at the end. Like, I mean, you see that they're disturbed and they're wrong and they're disturbing, but like when Stu is sitting there bleeding to death in the chair with his leg crossed, and he's just trying to maintain any form of dignity he can.
I think I'm dying, man.
Like, you start feeling for him at how disturbed he is.
I'm getting woozy here.
And it's so good.
That end is so crazy, and what's so great, I watched it. You know, I got the Blu-ray, and that was the first time I ever clocked it and saw how far into the movie was what I call like the last act, which is the beginning of the party thing, and it's like there's 40 minutes of the movie of that, and it seems like 15 minutes the whole last, and it was like, it's huge. It lasts like 40 minutes. The end, the house end, and I'm like, it seems like nothing. Like, it goes by like...
The movie is so well paced.
Perfectly paced. And what's great is
Patrick Lussier knows how to edit a movie. Too bad about that filmmaking thing.
Yeah, that aspect of it. But what I like about the beginning is, like, very quickly after we're introduced to Sydney, she's alone in the house and gets attacked. And that's like, whoa, you know, an action scene so close to the beginning. But what's great about it is, unlike some of the sequels, the reason they can do it so soon is because she doesn't get killed. But it's still an action scene.
The sequels had the problem, fell to the problem where
every time there's a scene, someone had to die.
Yeah, somebody died.
Yeah.
And the first one didn't have it. There was a couple of times where the killer failed in what it was.
Which was again
doing
a twist and also realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. So easy 4 stars. I'm assuming you're giving it 4. As well.
Yeah. I mean,
this is my favorite movie of the '90s. Like you mentioned, the 2000s.
My 2 of the zeros.
Yeah, the 2 of the zeros. This is one of my 2 of the '90s, and it's just so good. I can't get enough of it. Every time I watch it, I'm like, this holds up. It doesn't age like in a bad way. Even it's things that are relatively flawed now, in the sense that, like, caller ID and all that kind of stuff, which is addressed in the sequels.
Yeah.
Like, it's forgivable because this is a movie that really inspired that. Like, it existed beforehand, but there's that statistic. I hope it's true in the DVD extra materials. It shot up 2/3. The purchase of caller ID was shot up 2/3 after the release of Scream, probably because of this movie. I mean,
That's why, yeah, because I don't remember being very aware of it until like right when Scream 2 came out, and it's ironic that the very beginning of Scream 2
yeah,
addresses
they address it immediately.
yeah.
And
So
you get problems in Scream 3 and 4 where the fact that you can't really do the phone call thing anymore.
I know.
So
Well, they had fun with it because it's like it's their phone. And
yeah, in Scream 4 they did it really smart where the killer kept taking
Right.
whoever the victim's phone was. So that was just really neat.
And we'll get to that maybe.
We'll
if we're
we'll
lucky.
touch that.
But do you have the soundtrack to Scream?
Yes, I have soundtrack and score.
I'm gonna need those from you.
All right, I have to
Because
track
you
them
can't
down.
even get to see. Oh, great! The track them down. We know how that goes, don't we, folks? The track them down.
The score I can get to pretty immediately. The soundtrack is in one of my.
Yeah, because you can't even get like the soundtrack anymore.
You can buy it on Amazon.
Oh, you can.
Because that's where I bought mine from. Because I
want
had
the one with the song.
I had the cassette. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had
the
the
one with the
cassette with all the songs and stuff. Because the soundtrack is one of my favorites. It's one of my two favorite soundtracks
I
of
know.
the 90s.
I like the song.
That and Mortal Kombat are the two best.
Okay, well.
My God.
Yeah, but I want the songs. So,
Yeah.
So get it to me ASAP.
I will.
Do you have the songs on CD?
Yeah, I have it on cassette and CD. And
I want the CD
yeah, I
ripped.
assume you don't want the.
I don't want the cassette ripped.
I'll give you cassette quality sound.
Thank
Anyway,
we do
we have a personal matter going on.
So that's our Scream review. There's so much to say about it, but like I say, it's hard to grasp or hard to think of everything on camera. He covered a lot of it. I probably agree with all of it. I added mine. I mean, Rose, God, I'm glad they got her on film then. That's all I got to say. Thank you, Wes, for doing that. We'll catch you later.
Peace.